What inspired you to go into the education field?
Shoot, man. I think just my experience as a student when I was in about third grade, I was always like a busybody. We had took a test. It was a reading test, and I had tested actually at a sixth grade level on reading, but I couldn't really control just myself. I was an impulsive elementary school kid. And I remember we were learning times tables and I would sleep in class and I would just be busy. I'd be poking people, doing all types of things. And they took me, one day they scooped me up and they took me down the hall and they handed me this sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper was an IEP. That was the first time I ever had, seen the IEP. And for those of you who don't know, an IEP is an individual education plan. That's what you give students with disabilities to provide them accommodations to help them grow. But this IEP had me in a self-contained class. So I went from really learning times tables to, place value. But I didn't want to leave the class, not really because of the IEP, but there was this girl named Brittany in there.
Hey.
She had a little unibrow, but she had like the most beautiful hair you ever seen in your life. And I was and I finally got to sit next to Brittany. And so I was hot sauce. So I didn't want to go into the classroom for about 3 days. I finally went in there and it was a true self-contained situation and just feeling like I didn't belong. So once you get an IEP, it kind of tracks with you. You kind of get into a place in which you can't really shake it because you go from learning on grade level content for the most part to below grade level content. So you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of training, right?
Mhm.
So I couldn't test proficient on tests. I was taking a lot of remedial classes, but one day I was in high school and we were just coming out of football practice and one of my principal at the time, Dr. Sandy Bunking, she was outside on the patio. She had this black outfit, I mean this all purple outfit on with like the ruffles coming out, so she looked like Prince. And she looked at me, she said, "Let me see your report card." And she took my report card and she looked at it and I had made honor roll. She was like, "Why are you taking all these low level classes?" I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know. She said, "Come with me." So she took me into the office and she changed my schedule. She gave me all honest classes. And really from that point on, like that changed my trajectory. It changed my life being put in those classes. So like, that day I was like, well, I want to be an educator because, well, not that day, but like, the beginning of the next school year, once I
Mhm.
realized what had happened, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
And it sounds like to me like you weren't being challenged and you got enough time to goof off, but they saw that as an
Yeah,
issue with your ability to learn.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it for so many students that are like that,
Mhm.
it comes across as not being intelligent, and when really it's a matter of just being bored sometimes.